Morning sunlight slanted through the glass rotunda of Aurora Bay Aquarium, refracting into dancing ribbons across the polished tile. Posters for The Secret Genius of Octopuses hung everywhere, bright splashes of neon ink and cartoon tentacles pointing the way toward the brand-new Pacific giant habitat. For weeks, the aquarium's marketing team had stoked the town's excitement, promising synchronized color displays, enrichment puzzles, even an octopus portrait painting station. At the center of the spectacle stood Dr. Marco Alvarez, the aquarium's newly hired cephalopod specialist, who spoke about the animals with cathedral-quiet reverence. Riley Finn watched all of it from behind the register in the gift shop, an alcove perfumed by bubblegum saltwater taffy and shelves of plush sea stars. Her title read Retail Associate, but Riley had memorized every resident's feeding schedule and water parameter chart in her spare time. She took advantage of lulls between transactions to creep into the back corridors and peer through porthole windows at the tanks. Dr. Alvarez humored her questions more than once, chatting about chromatophores and problem-solving trials, never treating her like just a clerk. Opening weekend went smoothly. Lines wrapped past the stingray pool. Kids pressed sticky palms to the glass, and the octopus, a female named Hypatia, dazzled guests by unscrewing a jar to reach a shrimp reward. On Monday, however, the aquarium remained closed to visitors, so staff could recalibrate pumps and filters after the crowd's frenzy. Riley, scheduled for inventory, arrived early to find a knot of employees gathered near the service elevators. The usual morning chatter was gone, replaced by the uneasy hush of a church before a funeral. "Somebody call 911 yet?" Maintenance Chief Kurt Probst barked, face pale beneath his stubble. The elevator doors slid open to reveal two EMTs wheeling out a gurney. Dr. Alvarez lay atop it, soaked, his lab coat plastered to his chest. Vinyl hoses snaked around his legs like pale eels, and suction welts blotched his forearms. His eyes fluttered, unfocused, as the paramedic fixed an oxygen mask in place. Word spread, the biologist had been discovered in the filtration room that fed Hypatia's habitat, half drowned, lashed by hoses that should have hung tidily on wall pegs. The pump system, Kurt explained, creates powerful vacuums. Anyone pinned beneath a hose could be immobilized in seconds. An accident, perhaps. But why had Alvarez entered the filtration chamber alone before dawn? And why had every security camera aimed at that corridor suddenly gone dark? Detective Annika Rowe from Aurora Bay PD arrived, cordoned off the back-of-house area, and took formal statements. Riley watched her co-workers file past, faces a mix of shock and secret calculation. Marketing Director Lacey Hume dabbed at her mascara, insisting Dr. Alvarez must have slipped while checking nitrate levels. Curator Helen Dorsey, usually granite steady, fidgeted with her pearl necklace and muttered about budget cuts delaying a safety interlock upgrade. Volunteer diver Trevor Ung refused to remove his wetsuit, as if neoprene might shield him from accusation. Riley wasn't interviewed. A gift shop clerk's perspective ranked low on the priority list. Yet as she boxed octopus plushies no customer would buy that day, she replayed the training video Dr. Alvarez had shown her, the one warning staff never to set foot in the filtration room without a buddy and a lockout tag. Alvarez had written the rule himself. He wouldn't break it lightly. That evening, Riley sat in the staff lounge scrolling news feeds. The local paper's headline screamed, "Aurora Bay Aquarium Scandal, Octopus Expert Hospitalized." Comments already speculated about drunk driving, angry exes, even a rogue octopus escape. The aquarium board announced the exhibit would remain closed, pending investigation, a phrase that translated to hemorrhaging revenue. Riley pictured the biologist alone in a sterile hospital room, mind still buzzing with research dreams, while his body lay wrapped in gauze. The injustice crawled beneath her skin like sand fleas. She decided to start with the last person confirmed to have seen Alvarez conscious. Kurt Probst was still on site, calibrating emergency generators. Riley found him in the pump bay, sleeves rolled, eyes rimmed red. He and Alvarez had butted heads over maintenance schedules. Riley had overheard them arguing about a faulty UV sterilizer last Thursday. "Kurt, you said you left at midnight," she began, trying to keep her tone casual. "Did Marco mention why he was staying late?" "He was tweaking salinity," Kurt muttered. "Wanted the Pacific habitat at 33 parts per thousand instead of 32. I told him the system wasn't designed for that, but he sounded driven." He ran a hand through thinning hair. "I'm not proud we argued, but I sure as hell didn't hogtie him with my vacuum lines." Riley noticed the maintenance log clipboard on a nearby shelf. The Friday column bore an ink smear where someone had scratched out a note. She took a mental snapshot before Kurt slammed it face down. Next, she trekked to the octopus exhibit. The public gallery lights were off, but moon pools in the ceiling trickled cyan beams into the water. Hypatia hovered near the glass, skin shifting from auburn to pearl, as if tasting Riley's mood. One arm unfurled, traced the inside surface, and paused on a suction cup ring, matching the bruises Riley had glimpsed on Alvarez's forearm. She slipped into the adjacent lab, a cramped space of microscopes, beakers, and the biologist's clutter. Alvarez's research notebook, an indigo leather ledger he guarded like treasure, was missing. On the stainless steel counter lay only a single post-it, stuck beside a half-solved Rubik's Cube. "Think bigger." The handwriting was not Marco's looping cursive, but sharp, angular strokes Riley recognized from sales orders placed by Lacey Hume. Marketing's office occupied the mezzanine above the main lobby, glass walls, succulent plants, a neon jellyfish sign. Lacey paced inside, cell phone pressed to her ear. Riley lingered outside a moment, listening. "I don't care if the board's nervous," Lacey hissed into the phone. "A crisis doubles engagement. Look at the analytics. We drop a teaser about Hypatia the Houdini, and ticket sales bounce back the second we reopen." A pause. "The scientist? He'll be fine. Play up the danger. People love an edge." The call ended. Lacey pivoted, startled to see Riley. "Looking for plush inventory numbers?" she asked too brightly. "Actually," Riley said, "I found a note with your handwriting in Dr. Alvarez's lab. Any idea why it says 'think bigger'?" Lacey's smile thinned. Marco kept brainstorming grandiose enrichment ideas. Laser mazes, obstacle courses. I wrote that to encourage him. Inspirational, you know. She tucked a stray hair behind her ear, fingers trembling. "This whole thing is terrible, but accidents happen. Let's not dig for conspiracies." Back in the gift shop, Riley switched off the overhead fluorescents, but left her desk lamp burning. She pulled out the plush octopus shipment received 3 days earlier. Each toy had a cardboard tag illustrating Hypatia painting on a canvas. Riley flipped one over and noticed a smudge of dark green algae on the fabric. Odd, the plushies came sealed in plastic. As she squeezed the toy, something rigid shifted inside. She slit the stitching with her box cutter and extracted a USB flash drive wrapped in cling film. She stared at the inanimate, smiling octopus in her hands. Someone had hidden data in merchandise stored 15 feet from the public exit, a safe place unless you happened to restock the shelves. Riley borrowed a computer in the education classroom and opened the drive. Folders of water-quality spreadsheets sat beside a single video labeled HB Cam 4 Backup MP4. She clicked play. The camera showed the filtration corridor, timestamp 3:42 a.m., less than an hour before Alvarez was found. The footage was grainy but clear enough. The biologist entered carrying a coil of orange rope and a toolkit. He examined a pressure gauge, then turned as another figure strode in. Lacey Hume, still in stilettos and blazer, hair pinned professionally. Words passed. The camera had no audio. Lacey pointed to the pump manifold. Alvarez shook his head. She gestured again, more forcefully. He tossed the rope aside in disgust. Lacey then stepped behind him, reached for the circuit breaker panel, and the feed cut to static. Riley exhaled. In a single frame, she possessed motive and opportunity. Lacey wanted spectacle. Alvarez resisted. But what about the hoses? And why hide the footage in a plush toy instead of giving it to police? She copied the video to her phone and slipped the flash drive back into her pocket. If Lacey discovered it missing, she might panic, perhaps dangerously so. Riley needed more than a silent clip to convince Detective Rowe. She needed proof of sabotage. That night, the aquarium closed entirely. No staff beyond security guard Eddie Kwan, who spent most shifts scrolling basketball scores. Riley borrowed a wetsuit from the volunteer locker and crept toward the filtration room. A red seal labeled "Police Evidence Do Not Enter" stretched across the door, but the lock remained standard. Her keycard beeped green. Inside, the hum of pumps vibrated through concrete, a mechanical heartbeat. Coils of vinyl hose hung in loops, except for one section lying on the floor, bent where EMTs had cut it to free Alvarez. Riley traced the hose to its source, a V-junction near the base of the sand filter. A brass ball valve protruded, its handle padlocked open, standard safety protocol. Yet the padlock's shackle was shiny new. The matching locks elsewhere bore decades of patina. She tugged gently. The new lock wasn't locked at all, its hasp closed but empty. Cosmetic security easy to fake. Someone could have turned the valve shut, reversing pressure, creating suction through the hose. Then click the lock shut again, and it would appear untouched. Riley snapped photos. A faint whiff of citrus cleaner lingered, lemon solvent the custodial crew never used, but Riley had smelled it earlier in marketing's office. She straightened to leave and froze. Behind her, the door eased closed with a soft snick. Lacey Hume stepped from the shadows, smartphone flashlight throwing ghost-white arcs across the machinery. "You're trespassing," Lacey said, voice flat. "Police cordon. Ring a bell." "You hid the surveillance footage," Riley replied, backing toward the hose rack. "Why frame an accident?" Lacey's laugh was brittle glass. "Frame? I tried to keep the project alive. Board members were days from canning the octopus exhibit. Too expensive. A brush with danger, a viral headline, and suddenly the public demands behind-the-scenes tours and limited edition merch." Her gaze flicked to the phone in Riley's hand. "I underestimated Marco's stubbornness. He wouldn't cooperate, so I had to improvise. He was never supposed to get hurt, just discover a leak, rush to fix it. Hero narrative. So you cut the cameras, turned the valve, and let the hoses do the rest," Riley said. He struggled. I panicked. Lacey's flashlight beam trembled. "But if you hand over that video, both our names are mud. Your hourly wage won't cover legal fees." She extended a manicured hand. "Give me the phone. Walk away." Riley's pulse hammered. She considered lunging for the door, but Lacey blocked the path, heels braced like daggers. Riley's foot brushed something soft, a coil of garden-thick rope Kurt had mentioned. Inspiration sparked. "Okay," she said, raising the phone as if surrendering. But she pressed play on the video, volume maxed. From the hall, Eddie Kwan's voice drifted. "Everything okay in there?" Riley shouted, "Help!" and hurled the phone past Lacey. The distraction drew Lacey's eyes just long enough for Riley to whip the rope around her ankles, a trick she'd practiced while packing octopus puppets for school demos. She yanked hard. Lacey toppled, phone clattering. Eddie burst in, taser drawn. Seeing Lacey on the ground and Riley in soaked neoprene, he radioed for police. Riley produced the copied video, the photos of the dummy padlock, and her testimony. Lacey, panting, offered only indignation until Detective Rowe arrived to cuff her. Then the marketing director dissolved into tears, blaming an aggressive PR culture and a moment of poor judgment. Dr. Alvarez regained consciousness 2 days later. Riley visited the hospital with a get-well card signed by staff, except Lacey, now charged with reckless endangerment and evidence tampering. When Riley recounted how Hypatia seemed to watch the investigation unfold, Alvarez wheezed a laugh. "Octopuses choose their allies," he said, squeezing her hand. "Looks like she chose you." The board rehired Alvarez under expanded authority and launched a public education series called Safer Seas, featuring candid talks about animal care and behind-the-scenes technology. As for Riley, curator Helen Dorsey invited her to apply for the aquarium's inaugural junior aquarist internship, citing excellent crisis initiative and an eye for detail. Riley accepted, trading plush registers for water tests and enrichment puzzles. On her first shift in the lab, she slipped a tiny Lego block into Hypatia's tank, an object the octopus had never seen. Hypatia's arms flowed forward, examined the toy, then arranged her body coloration into bold stripes of approval. Riley grinned. Under the glow of the moon pools, the aquarium felt less like a place of scandal and more like a story still being written, one where curiosity, not deception, held the starring role.